Global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
The organized labor is not ready to back down on their move for strike action already. It's affecting virtually everything that is going on in the country. As we're talking now, the transition company of Nigeria has claimed that the reason why there is no light across the country is because as at 2:19 a.m. this morning, that the organized labor, they came in and they sent everybody parking, and
In fact,
which means
they shut down
they shut
six
down the
substations.
substation. So right now there is no lights, and that's a pointer to the fact that they are really serious.
And to make matters interesting, the federal government is not letting anything loose. As they have decided to warn organized labor that in case they are thinking of embarking on any strike, anyone who dares to will be looking at either a 6 months imprisonment jail term or a fine equivalent, because in subsection section 18 of the Labor Act, there is a warning or to that effect that whoever that will be going on any form of
Strike
strike
action, yeah.
action or must at least give 15 days notice if you want to resign. 15 days notice. Other than that, it is legally not binding. Many Nigerians have reacted to that, saying that that's coming from, of course, from Fagbemi, the office of the AGF. And many Nigerians are saying that that's not really nice. Other Nigerians are saying that the Nigerian Labour Congress should not fold. They should not give in. They should move on. So it's now between the law and the people.
Now, Gelali, who is the publicity special advisor to the president on publicity and media, had also spoken up. He says that the demand for a 24 increase in the minimum wage could destabilize the economy, leading to an unsustainable economic environment. He had to also make it very clear that the move by the labor union is very unrealistic. And he says that because of economic realities and fundamentals within the country right now, that the move by organized labor should not be supported because it's going to affect virtually everything. And he made some examples talking about what it means for you to put 20 or to demand 20 times of what you're collecting right now. So now it's important we just talk about this because so many people have spoken about it. Is it rational? That's a big question for the organized labor to demand for such an amount of money.
I guess they're looking at the welfare of the workers. They're looking at the fact that politicians are smiling to the banks every day, just sitting back to say I. Those who are I are more, those who are they are less.
But then you ask yourself a question: how long are those guys going to be there? The next 4 years. And while the issue of labor, we're talking about the next 30 years or 35 years for each of them.
Sometimes some of these senators, their umbilical cord is planted in the house. I could confidently say that Baribe's umbilical cord is in the house. So if you want to go by that, you will not say Baribe is 4 years. He's been many years there. So many years of that salary makes
Politically being elected into that
Yes,
position,
that's what
which
I mean.
means every other person had an opportunity to be elected, but unfortunately, for some reasons, they didn't want to go into politics.
Well, that's true.
And now, apart from that, as much as it's good enough for labor to think that way, but the practicality of it is very questionable. Number one, if you're demanding for that amount of money, don't also forget that the unemployment market is flooded with people who are right now doing some menial jobs to sustain their lives.
Underemployment too is there.
You understand? There's underemployment and all of that. So if you demand that they should do they should pay you up to 500,000, don't forget that there are other businesses that people are linked to. If, for example, especially for those who have children, if, for example, you collect as much as that, and the school are forced to pay such an amount of money now, and that's
For private school
for
now.
private schools, and then even for public school, because as of now, based on what we have seen, they need to start generating money. The federal government will make sure that even for public school, they pay as much as 500,000 naira or 300,000 naira per term.
Yeah, so that we can be able to
So
pay
now
our
we can be
teachers.
able to generate enough money to pay the
So
teachers.
nobody goes to school.
So now the private, whenever you're talking about private institution,
It's money making.
profitability
That's
hits
all.
their mind, real maximization of profit. So we are looking at 1 million naira for each term for each student, because if you said some of them were charging as less as 50,000 naira, and 50,000 naira times 20, because labor has decided to increase the theirs by 20%.
20%.
So times 20, that's about 1 million naira. So you just see that the whole economy will be shut down. It will be massive for those who cannot sustain or who do not have the strategy to pay their staff that amount of money. It therefore means there's going to be a huge loss of job, which will end up truncating everything about the country.
Imagine a private school employing like only 3 workers and telling them to teach the whole school because hey, I'm paying you 500,000. You must work like a robot.
You understand?
You must teach from GSS 1 to SS 3, morning till night. There's no 500,000. They pay you 50, and they are stressing you. How much for 500,000? You must bring fat. You use your blood to teach if you have to. But it's really unrealistic.
Of course.
But if they want to go by that, because obviously from what we gather and what we are seeing right now, the organized labor are not backing down. So they could come to some level of compromise. I feel for me, you could have a different opinion. I feel for me that the federal government should let it fly because obviously the organized labor is actually twisting the hands of the government.
Yeah.
They have the crowd, they have the people,
Yeah.
and they are in the sector, so they can decide to shut down the economy, and the federal government are helpless about it. This issue of saying you're liable for 6 months imprisonment, are you
It
gonna
won't. It won't
won't
work.
fly?
It
Are you
won't
gonna
work.
imprison the whole
Therefore, I
labor?
mean, the whole
The,
house
the,
in Lagos will be used
do
for
you understand the
maybe
whole?
house arrest.
Not even just Lagos, cut across the nation.
Yeah. See,
Every house,
it makes no sense that it can't work.
it can't work.
Yeah.
From all indication, it's just talk that is so cheap. Now, but if you ask me, they should allow them to fly. You said 500, almost 500,000 deal. We can only do that. We'll stop paying you salaries. You have to start self-generating.
Mhm.
And whatever you're self-generating must be very legitimate. Now imagine if you are a health sector, you're now to we're not going to pay you salaries anymore, and we're going to tax you normally.
Okay.
So however you want to generate your money, that you will pay even your cleaner the minimum wage of that 500,000,
1,000 naira.
because you start with the cleaner.
Yes.
500,000
It's
minimum wage.
basic now.
They're basic. Then you can now add up all the
The
allowances
doctors, you
of the
can pay them
doctors,
7 million.
then the consultants who are there.
They walk away
that
with
you
50 million.
Hey, so when you now do it, you now increase your paracetamol cost of drug. For common paracetamol, you'll be selling one tablet, one pack of
Paracetamol,
for 10,000
1,000
naira.
naira.
And now you begin to see how many Nigerians will come and buy you paracetamol.
You understand?
That's when you say Agbojeti will be popular. Most Nigerians will start going native. By the time you look at it, you realize that nobody's patronizing the hospitals.
Exactly.
You
Now, for
cannot
example,
even generate that money.
okay, for example, Ministry of Agriculture, they have to go into mechanized farming right now so that they can flood the market with so much, which means if they do that, for them to be able to sustain that 500,000 naira, one cup of rice will be going for like 10,000 naira.
Do you understand?
So that we can pay, because you
the
have to look
economy
at
will
the
just
problem.
be on heavy inflation,
You understand?
hyperinflation,
Even the value of naira will be
something else.
It will be next to nothing. For me personally, if the labor wants to get it right, I feel that they should put these conditions before the government, and it will be 60,000 naira. We are cool with it because we understand, what the economic fundamentals, what will happen to the system. We understand, but we are going to get 60,000 naira, but then we can only resume work and collect that 60,000 naira if you come out also with a publication that all elected officers, elected House of members, governors, mention them. They crash down on both their basic salary
And their
and also their
allowances.
own allowances. You understand? Cost of governance will reduce. Sell off all the cars that you've bought, given to them, or even if you're not going to sell off those cars, but make sure that cost of governance will crash down real good. We don't want anything, because their own part, 500,000, for me, it's not realizable. It's not pragmatic. If you ask me, there's no government in the world that can enact that.
Because even if they do, and I'm saying that because I know that they can't generate that amount to pay even a cleaner in their office.
None of them, nobody
Because
can do
even
that.
if they try it, the people who patronize them don't have that capacity to buy those drugs or even pay. Can imagine if your child is in a private school, you are barely paying like 50,000 naira for school fees, and all of a sudden the school will say, due to the increase in minimum wage and all that, to basic 500,000, the school fees is now 2 million. People will just withdraw their children out.
Yeah, you'll be teaching them at home.
At home.
Another thing
And at
too,
the end of the day, they won't. By the time the teachers, the owner of the school says there's nobody to teach, teachers will have to be laid off.
another way the government can also deal with this is that each hospital, or let me say for each ministry, we have like 10 people for each ministry, and they'll be running the whole show. You understand?
There won't be effectiveness if you
They,
ask.
they will no, because the
Imagine-
workload needs to increase. We
eh,
drop every other person. We just choose 10 effective people who will
Now,
be running the show.
Imagine 10 medical doctors in a
Run,
federal hospital.
okay.
It's not realizable.
It's unrealizable.
Very unrealistic.
Nurses
In fact, they will
about
break-
5.
Imagine 5 nurses
You
in
understand?
imagine a University of Calabar teaching hospital,
Okay.
or University of
Lagos,
Lagos teaching hospital,
Lut.
or even University of Ibadan teaching hospital, or University of Benin teaching hospital. They have a lot of those university teaching hospitals
Yes.
littered over the nation.
Just 10 doctors.
Now, 10 doctors
and
with 5
5
nurses
They
taking
handle
over
everything.
the whole state. It
Mm.
doesn't.
It's not,
Some of the doctors will resign.
of course. Well, some of them may not resign because if you're going to walk away with as much as 10 million naira based on your level, why not sit back and die here? You understand?
That's the word. Die here, because
So
24 hours you're on duty.
for me, whatever this guy Jero is doing is close to insanity. It doesn't. I don't think it can work, if you ask me, because this
So
is
unrealistic.
totally unrealistic. You are going to destroy the economy.
So what talking about? Let's assume it flies. So what will be the fate of the underemployed and the
Exactly.
unemployed? They won't be
Exactly.
paid salaries.
Don't forget that the unemployed are also involved in this thing. So, unemployed and the underemployed. So, I feel the negotiation, if you are intending to do that and still push to make that a reality, it therefore means you're going to negotiate. The employed will be paid 500,000 naira.
Minimum
The
wage.
unemployed in Nigeria they will line up and they'll be paid 300 or 250,000 naira
Every
monthly
month.
also. So
From
you can
which
see which
economy?
government can manage that. It's totally unrealizable. It's something that cannot work. The economy itself, we've seen the level of borrowing already on ground. Unfortunately, the man up there doesn't have the capacity to do all of this. You understand? So let's just leave it there and see what will come up at the end of the day.
That should go wrap it up. Let's meet in that comment section. What's your take? Let's discuss.
Global happenings today.